My name is Mike Wigglesworth, and I moved to Houston back in 2006, and I've never looked back. I came here to seek my fortune. Actually, it's my second career, and right now I'm a architectural designer, builder, and developer in the museum district, and the houses we're here tonight are phase 2 of 3 houses that I designed and built, and to be followed by 4 more houses. We started in 2006 to do things different. I used to build Tuscany wood houses, or they call it Tuscan woods, in their Spanish Mediterranean. 77% of all architecture in this city is Spanish Mediterranean architecture. So I really got tired of doing the same old commodity. I decided, I fell on my head a long time ago. When I lived in Philadelphia, I bought a house designed by a famous architect called Louis Kahn. And it was inside outside, all glazing, cantilevered, organic, and it changed my life. I renovated it. It took about 5 years to bring it back to its original. It was built in 1961. I put a waterfall in, so I know a lot about waterfalls. And I came to love the aesthetic of modern architecture. After selling houses here, I decided to do something different, to think different, to be modern and to be better. And what I did was put together houses that had a price point under $1 million. It was all mass, volume, and spatiality and minimalism. And a lot of people think that modern architecture is cheaper to build. Well, they're wrong. It's a lot more expensive because the tolerances have to be perfect. They have to be clean. And the irony of it is, when people come and look at these houses, they think it's over 3,000 square feet. In essence, it's less than that. It's how you design it. It doesn't cost you any more money to design a great house. So I've differentiated myself by doing these, and lived in New York City for 10 years. And I get my inspiration by retail commercial buildings. I go in there and look at that. Case in point, my first 2 modern houses, they call them the Lego box houses. And in New York, I discovered a new museum by 2 Japanese architects, and they were cantilevered and they were adjacent to one another. They were blocks piled up. And I looked at that, and it was one of those aha moments. I went, ooh. I spent about a day in there and never looked at the artwork, okay? I studied the architecture, and I brought it back here, and I said to myself, I'd like to do that, okay? So I got the loan from the bank, and the bankers go, you sure you don't want to build Tuscany stuff? It's safer. I said, no, trust me, it's not. So it was a 10-foot cantilever, and it was the longest cantilever for a residential house in the city. It was all steel infrastructure, and the neighbors came by and they thought it was an office building. I convinced them, no, it's not an office building. It's a 3-story residential building. Long story short, I sold it. We sold it in 3 weeks. I got set sales records for the price per square foot, but more importantly, I proved to me and the bankers and the world that there is a great market for modern architecture. I do things differently. All my houses are unique. The 2 houses I've built, I'll never build them again. These 3 houses I've built, I will never build them again. Because I don't want to go through the pain again, but they are very unique. These houses, for instance, I got the idea from the Tampa Art Museum. I was there on business. I saw this museum. It was just this mass structure with anodized aluminum screening. I go, this is cool. I called the architect, I called the builder, I called the engineer, and I got a quote from the company that did it. By the way, it was the same company that did the soccer stadium. And it was about $350,000. I said, thank you very much, gentlemen, but I think I'll do it on my own. So after 18 months, we figured it out. And from what I've been told, it's the largest 3,000 square feet of residential screens lit by LED lights in the nation. I've gotten a lot of publicity. Several architectural magazines have featured me. I won a lot of architectural awards, but these are my babies. And you know, I tell people that Channel 11 News featured me, and Sherwin Chow, she came in and she was very sweet. And she came out there and looked at the lights, and she went down into the video room and broadcasted from the video room, and it really put me on the map, and I'm very grateful for that. But we sold these houses for top dollar, and I tell people, all my buyers, that, you know, get used to people knocking on your door saying, you know, who did the house? Do you live here? And at night, it's like, especially on the weekends, it's amazing how many cars come through and take pictures of the LED screens. So if you haven't seen it, go by at night and see these screens. They morph, they change every 90 seconds, and on the holidays, it's red, white, and blue for the 4th of July, it's orange for Halloween, so forth and so on. So now that I've completed this, and you know, this is the backyard, the rooftop, this is city living. And I put everything up top here, and it's really a party place, and it's a great place to look at and view. You have the Med Center, and then on that side you've got the skyline for the city, and at night it's gorgeous. And it's very cool, and what I learned, that mosquitoes don't fly up this high, so that's a good selling point. This also has its own palm tree, and you've seen other attributes of the house and features of the house. But these are my babies, and I spend way too much time building this because I want to do quality construction, and I call it the Art Colony. And the reason I call it the Art Colony, this is the Art District of Houston. 6 million people come here every year, soon to be 7 million with the new museum. And all my colonists are very creative. Many of them do collect art, and I collect art, pop art. And you know, that's the camaraderie, and that's the emotion we have and the lifestyle we have. It's called, my practice, my motto is dream, design, and build. And that's what I do. My tagline is art and architecture. I think that I collect art, people collect art. Why can't art also be in your home? Okay, don't buy a cookie cutter home. Buy something that's original, buy something that's creative, buy something that's modern, okay? So think modern, think better, and less is more in terms of modern architecture. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Design criteria for these houses were threefold. One was the first criteria, the most important criteria, is the architectural statement. So by doing this screen, it became one mass volume of 3,000 square feet. So during the day, the sun hits it and the aluminum glows. Okay, the second dictum for the design was to give privacy. Unfortunately, you know, we face your neighbors. You don't want to look into your neighbors, so you need some privacy. You need some screening. So we tested the screens. We came up with a 60-40 in that you can see out, and it blocks 60% of the people looking in. So it gives you the privacy, and you don't see telephone wires, so forth and so on. And the third one, which is purely functional and economical, it blocks 40 to 50% of the solar gain in the afternoon sun. So you got savings on solar gain, you have complete privacy, and best of all, you have an architectural statement. And this is realized superbly at night, because at dusk, our computers control the lights. There are LED screens on the bottom that shine up, and mirrors on the top that bounce that light back for even distribution. And it's anodized aluminum, it's stainless steel, and I have 18-inch I-beams to hold this up. It took a long time to do, but the proof is in the pudding. And when we turned it on the first night, we had it at 100%, and it was like Times Square, so we had to tone it down a little, and we're now working at 20%, but it comes on automatically every night, 365 days a year. comes on at dusk and goes off at 10:30 out of the respect of the neighbors. But it really sets a standard here. As I kid a lot of people, I said, you got to be somewhat of an exhibitionist to live here. And you really do, because people literally stop and take pictures. And I think a lot of obviously my buyers kind of love it. And I told them too that they may be inconvenienced once a year with the Rice and U of H architectural students coming through looking at this. So it's a great place to live. We're in the greatest place in Houston, and that's the Museum District, the Museum Park, Herman Park. We have 7 restaurants within walking distance, and all my buyers, I give them, as long as they stay here, the Golden Handcuffs, I give them a free membership to the Art Museum here in Houston. So you can't beat that benefit, and we're all good neighbors, and I'd really love more people to come down and look at this and become art colonists themselves. Thank you for your time.